welcome to episode 196 of the FReality Podcast, your fortnightly fix of the latest VR news from the world of virtual reality. We have a jam-packed show for you today, including Vox Machinae coming to Quest. Meta spends $10 million on probably the weirdest VR commercial I've ever seen, which aired during the Super Bowl. I give you the lowdown on a new standalone Linux-based VR headset called the Simula One. We discuss the crazy rumors circulating the internet about Metal Gear Solid coming to VR exclusively for the PSVR2. And to round up the show, Zim is back with a vengeance and has some new releases coming in the next couple of weeks for us all to look forward to. But for now, let me introduce you to my Meta mates and find out what's been their highlight from the past couple of weeks. And also let us know what you've been playing in the chat so we can read out some of your highlights too. First up, this guy has recently become a father. He's the proud dad of his very own baby Grogu and is currently in the process of teaching him the ways of the Force. Congratulations are in order for our friend Nathie. Hello there.
Hey, well, hello there. Yeah, well, I have to clean up the house every day. You know, still pooping on the floor, but you know, we're getting there. Like having to buy frogs in the supermarket. You know, things like that.
Fresh frogs.
Because fresh frogs and stuff. So yeah, no, it's weird to have an alien pet. You know.
Show me the baby.
Yeah,
show us the little one.
Let me grab it.
Here he is in his glory.
Careful,
baby Grogu. Look at him, dude. He's life size as well. That's amazing.
Yeah. It's very heavy, by the way.
Yeah, it looks it. All those frogs inside him. I'm not surprised.
Wait. I haven't actually watched The Mandalorian, so Baby Grogu eats frogs.
Yeah.
Yes, spoiler alert.
Spoiler.
His favorite.
Now you don't have to watch it anymore. That's all you need to know. You know,
good.
Eats frogs.
I'm caught up.
So other than cooing over your new little child, what else you been up to the past couple of weeks?
A couple of weeks. Well, that's a good one.
You don't know?
It's almost like I haven't been alive, right? That's kind of what it sounds like.
Have you been eating frogs as well?
Well, kind of. The wrong kind of frogs.
Licking the bag of them.
Yeah, psychedelics.
I think, you know, when I mentioned last time that I put like my own like item and rec room, right?
Yeah.
Well, like 2 weeks later, I sold a record of 700 desks.
Wow.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
You're going to overtake IKEA.
well, maybe, yeah. Who knows?
So
but
you're quitting YouTube, becoming a full-time rec room.
Yeah.
Well, at this point, I could definitely consider that, but I'm not gonna do that. No, but it's been surprisingly successful for sure. I was betting on 500 in a week time, but actually it sold like 400 in 2 days. Wow. And then from there it kind of went down because then the hype is over. And the funny part is, so you have 700 people owning this desk, right? But only 250 have actually like put it into their dorm rooms. So the rest just bought it and they just haven't or found a space for it, or they just buy it because hype. You know, I really don't know. So but yeah, it's crazy. I'm already like brainstorming about other things I can do. But yeah, I'm starting to like run my own virtual reality IKEA.
Wow.
Steam sale syndrome, isn't it? You buy it and you just stick it in your catalog, your library, and that's it. You're like, I've got Nathie's desk now. I'm good.
Yeah. So if you have any suggestions of what kind of furniture you want next, let me know. I'll hook you up.
We need to start distributing mic pillows in the metaverse. That's what we need to do.
Yeah. We're going to convert this podcast. It will become the Furniture Reality Podcast. Get out your whole home.
That's what the F stands for.
This was the plan the whole
entire time. It is furniture. Well, nice one. Well, congrats on your new baby and your newfound digital item business.
It's like, that's so weird. Like it escalates so quickly. And like a few weeks ago, I have no idea what I want to do with my life, and now I'm sitting here buying like some weird Baby Yoda stuff, and yeah, I'm selling furniture. There you go.
Yeah, nice job. Well, next up, this guy loves to go crazy in VR. He just can't be tamed. So crazy, in fact, that he's likely to be featured in a future post of VR to ER. It's our one and only, it's our rowdy guy. How you doing, dude? You all right?
I'm doing great. Yeah, I've had a very busy week. We've had a lot of snow as well. I'm sure that Zim has been scooping it all up as a proud Canadian would. But no, I've been great. I've actually had a little bit of time still to get some VR in. And as some of you might know, I am a very big fan of the show called Final Space. Have any of you guys watched Final Space before? It's a cartoon. It ran for 3 seasons, and then it unfortunately got cancelled. A bit of a letdown because I really enjoyed that series and that cartoon. It was very although it's a cartoon, it's very adult-like. The humor is very. I would even compare it maybe a little bit to Rick and Morty, but I find it a little bit more. I don't know, like refined. It is a similar kind of humor though, and I typically like that kind of humor. But they also released kind of like as a goodbye to their fans, I guess, a VR application. It was released middle of January. Now the game itself, it's not a great game. It's not something that you probably wanna buy and play for like hours and ends. But as a fan of Final Space and of the story and the characters, I think the characters are great. They're voiced by great voice actors as well. It's really nice to get to see them again and to they've maintained that similar kind of humor. Although I have the feeling it's a little bit more like the light version because it's definitely more aimed at maybe a younger audience. But it's nice. I had a good time. Just like the jokes are still there, the humor is still there, the silliness of it is still there. It's fun. So if you're a fan of Final Space and you kind of upset that the show has ended on a bit of a cliffhanger as well, then maybe go and check it out and experience a little bit of those moments again with Gary and Mooncake and Avocado and all of the other characters that are in there. And screw you, Kevin.
So like with this game, it kind of had those From Other Suns vibes when I first saw it because it's like a co-op.
It's a 4-player co-op, yeah. So I didn't do a co-op. I only did a single player, but I can imagine it's a lot more fun with other characters because every one of you will have to pick a certain individual. So you can play either the girl Quinn, you can play Gary, you can play Avocado, and you can also play Tribor, which is kind of like the alien with the beer belly. Great characters. Like
sounds like my spirit animal.
Yeah, you would definitely be Tribor.
Nice. But I heard, although it kind of looked like From Other Suns, it's very much like a From Other Suns light version, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, like I said, like it's like a little bit of like a walking shooter, you know what I mean? Like you the speed is very low. It's not a great VR game. It's not something that I would say like, you have to try this, this is amazing. Well, From Other Suns still had like, the core of it was VR, and it was a gameplay. Well, this isn't. This is Final Space, and there's like a little bit of a VR skin around it. I wasn't a big fan of the graphics either. I think they could have made it cel shaded, but maybe that's more work. I don't know, like to do it like that. But they did like this kind of 3D rendering of the characters. A little bit, yeah. I mean, it was well done, but it wasn't necessary for me to do that.
Fair enough. So more fan service than great VR game.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, fair enough. Still a decent recommendation though. Yeah, I appreciate it.
No problem.
So next up, this guy is hot stuff. He's so hot, in fact, he's often found casually adding a full bottom of so hot, in fact, he's often found casually adding a full bottle of Da Bomb to his breakfast cereal. It's the legendary VR streamer. It's ZimTalk5. How you doing?
My God, yeah, nice Hot Ones reference there, Mike. But God, I think if I did that, even if I tried Da Bomb, which is one of the worst sauces on the planet Earth, I think I probably would have died. That is not a friendly sauce from what I've never had it, but one of these days I will obviously have to. That's a show it's a fantastic show, actually. I'd recommend people go watch that. Hot Ones. It's basically famous people getting interviewed while they eat spicy chicken wings, and it escalates, and it's very fun to watch. Grown people cry, like Seth Rogen and stuff like that. It's brilliant, actually. Brilliant. I moved into a bit of a mansion now, so I'm happy. I've got a new place. It's easily double the size of my UK place. When I show you the VR space downstairs, which will become my studio, I'm jealous of myself right now. But our stuff was delayed, so because of international shipping and stuff, I'm going to be without stuff for a good 6 weeks more, I think. So into late March. But in these large echoey chambers, I've started to use the various spaces for VR purposes to a good degree. I had quite a bit of trouble for some reason finding T for God. I think I mentioned on a previous podcast that when you search, although for some reason not on mobile, when you search the Oculus Store for an app that's there on App Lab, you can find it if you're on desktop. But on mobile, it seems to not work. So I had some trouble locating T for God, downloading it and playing that. But God, it's like, I mean, my reaction, I'll be frank. I was like, Jesus fucking Christ, this is like being at the beginning of Dune. And I haven't even watched that film yet. But what they've done to it, what they've done to that game since I was last in is pretty incredible. The way it uses large spaces, the narrating voice that they now have in the game really makes it feel like you're in a sci-fi kind of / horror film. If anyone's ever watched Cube, which is this like 1997 horror film where you're like stuck in a box and they're trying to get up and over and figure out.
There's like 7 of them, right?
It's like all of them, right? Yeah. But T for God in this space is really unfathomably cool compared to my UK small place. So I'm going to do some of that, and I'll be doing that live as well once I can get all my pieces together for a proper show. Been doing The Walking Dead, which is amazing. Again, when you've got space and nobody around and no murder dungeon in your basement, you can feel a little bit better about yourself. And then even just yesterday, I was just like lying back on the floor in YouTube. Like 4K YouTube is so nice and relaxing. And I just had a beer, laid out, and was just like watching podcasts and shows on YouTube and stuff. And it was like, this is pretty damn good, you know? So VR is great. In Canada is what I'm saying. And like Rowdy said, I've been spending a good amount of my time clearing snow and stuff like that. Yeah. The snow is real here. I knew that and I like that, but it's been lots of fun being out in it every day with the dog. So
nice. And T for God, it adapts to the size of your play space, right?
Yeah. So all the corridors, like where I played before, all the corridors were like quite claustrophobic. And when you're wandering in a very small room, you're not too tricked, right? But if you put headphones on in a space that's like a reasonable size room or a large room, and then you go into T for God, like after a few minutes, you're on a sci-fi spaceship. And it's weird because it's a lot like Cosmodread. You get this map with all these glyphs on it. I'm doing the roguelite version, and it's like, I have no idea what half of this stuff is, and I'm trying to work it out. So it's going to make for really good show content, I think, while I try to trace your steps, retrace your steps. The non-Euclidean geometry, it messes with your brain proper.
And it's still free, right?
All I know is I have a license to it. So if they put a price tag on it, I wouldn't know. It's still in demo, so they're not done.
Okay.
So I believe at the moment on App Lab, I believe it is free, and you can get it, as I said, by searching if you go into your browser, and if you even just type in T for God Quest, you'll be able to get to it and download it. So I highly recommend that, even if you have a small space.
Good recommendation. Yeah, nice. So if you don't know who I am, my name is Mike, host of the show. But let's dive in and see what the chat have been up to over the past couple of weeks before I share what I've been up to.
Yes, so we have Squeaks, who has been playing, too much App Lab, basically, because he said that he launched past 10,000 plays? That's crazy. Wow. So he launched the app 10,000 times to play something. What he played, I don't know. You can make up yourself.
Sounds like a great app.
This is like a horror game.
No.
Yeah, that would be something, right? Then we have Sampler19, who has been going for some adult entertainment. I'm sure he had more than 10,000 plays on that. And then we have Virtual Steve, who checked out some Jedi Fallen Order on the Quest 2 with Virtual Desktop. It's always great. When the season is dry, you can always play some pancake stuff in Virtual Desktop, or as PD would say, Farpax that stuff. And then we have Darja Angel, who has been really enjoying the sniper mode on Hitman 2. I think in VR. Yeah, haven't tried that. You know anything about that, Mike? Sniper mode?
No, I haven't tried it.
Is that a mode or just like sniping in general?
I would imagine it's a level that's in Hitman 2 that's playable through Hitman 3. Yeah.
Yeah. As long as it doesn't include mic NPCs, I'm not so interested. And she also tried the arcade demo. I think that's a really popular thing right now. I haven't tried it myself just yet. Then we have VR enthusiast who dove into Alien Dawn. This is maybe something that Zim would be interested in because he says this is very early access. It's a co-op zombie survival with vehicles. So you drive by and then you shoot zombies with your friends.
Wait, Alien Dawn? But then
Alien
I've heard the name.
Yeah, well, that's what he's
sounds good.
saying. I didn't make this up, Rowdy. So nowadays, it could be a shapeshifter alien, who shapeshifts into a zombie.
That makes sense. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and then last but not least,
just trolling us. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I'm not completely in the loop. So if you name some random games that don't exist, I totally believe you. And then last but not least, we have G27, who played Downward Spiral. Horus Station. I know this is a classic. It's kind of like
me and Nathan played this one.
Yeah,
we played it together because it's co-op. I remember it was actually really good.
Dude, it was it was mind blowing.
Remind me what kind of game this is. This is the one with the robots.
It's like Lone Echo in a way. It's
It's weird because you had a few 0G space games all released at the same time. You had Downward Spiral, which is this one, which you can play co-op. You had Detached, which was like motion sick simulator.
That's the king. That is the king of motion sickness. Yep.
And then you had Adrift, and they were all very similar. Yeah. But that one, Downward Spiral, was actually very good.
Yeah,
that's the one of the three I haven't played. Okay, but it was multiplayer. That's cool.
Yeah. Co-op. Me and Nathan played. The full sort of level that they had. It was great fun. Yeah, really cool. Yeah, good recommendations there. Nice. So I've been up to a few things past couple of weeks. The last couple of days though, I've been playing Horizon Forbidden West. I don't know if you guys have been seeing this. Obviously, it just came out on PS5. Absolutely beautiful, gorgeous game, and it just gets me super hyped to be able to explore this world of Horizon in VR when they eventually launch Horizon Call of the Mountain, which will be coming to PSVR2. Of course, we don't know when it's coming, but it's likely going to be a launch title for the new headset.
And that one isn't region locked. Yeah, there you go.
Exactly that. So we're probably more than likely going to be playing Horizon Call of the Mountain before we get to play Horizon Worlds here in the UK and Europe. So
yeah, totally.
But yeah, we'll be talking more about Horizon Worlds a little bit later on.
What I'm wondering though now, because this is like a new part of it. This is DLC, right? I'm not completely up to date on it. Was it DLC or a complete new game?
I think it's going to be a standalone game, but
no, I mean like what you have been playing
what
now.
Oh yeah, sorry. Horizon Forbidden West is a completely standalone new game.
It's
a sequel.
Game.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm wondering, is this game like this VR game or this VR experience? Because we still don't really know what this is going to be. Is this going to be based on the? I honestly think it's going to be based on the standard game, the original, and then.
According to the information, apparently it's going to be set in the world of Forbidden West, and you will meet iconic characters from the game. So you will meet Aloy at some point. But you play a different character, an unknown character. Yeah. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. And like you said, the interesting thing is it going to be an experience, say like 45 minutes, an hour long, or is it going to be a full game that you can put numerous hours into? We just don't know yet.
If that is the case, that would be a system seller though. If they manage to pull that off.
Absolutely.
But just the world, I'm just so excited to be able to jump into that world, like, with these kind of like mechanical dinosaurs, that I don't know if you guys remember Zoids when you were a kid, you might be a bit too young for those. But if you're a bit older like me, you remember Zoids. They were like, like mechanical dinosaurs essentially that you build yourself. They were really, really awesome.
Were they a toy?
Yeah, a toy. Yeah,
some of them
you could wind up
real
and they
dinosaurs.
would walk and stuff. Yeah. They were cool. Anyway, enough of Horizon. The other thing I played, because I've got two more things I want to mention. Gunman Contracts Chapter 2 is phenomenal. I jumped into it past couple of weeks. It's an awesome mod for Half-Life Alyx. It's available for free on the Steam Workshop. And it's like, you've got the original chapter, which launched a long time ago, and the Chapter 2 just launched. It continues on from the original chapter in terms of story, and you're set on a mission to assassinate a bad guy. It like feels like what Hitman 3 in VR should have been like, or what like a John Wick game in VR would be like. It's totally badass. You've got a single life to make it through the entire level, which is about 20 minutes long.
Wow.
I think that's really good the way they did that, because it adds real intense sort of firefights. Everything's
so you make it invites you to make it cooler than it actually is, maybe, because it's
because
harder.
there's a lot at stake. You're going to be pushed back to the beginning again, because there's no checkpoints or anything like that. It's made by a solo dev called A&B Seth. He's working on more content, including Chapter 3, and he's also going to be bringing a custom gun to both chapters, Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. If you like this kind of stuff, go and support him on Patreon, because he's doing this as a passion project alongside his full-time job. But like he said, he wants to start pumping these out more regularly, and maybe even consider working on a standalone VR game himself. So really cool dev. Like I said, it's free. It's available on Steam Workshop. So if you own Half-Life Alyx on PC, definitely go and check them both out. They're probably the best mods available, alongside the BioShock mod, Return to Rapture. So yeah, definitely worth checking out.
Like, talking about this mod, I also saw something, and I thought this was in Half-Life Alyx, like this Star Wars thing where you just walk through some halls, shoot some stormtroopers, open some doors. I don't know if you saw this also pop up. It's kind of like just a passion project too, but I first thought it was a Half-Life thing, but it's not. But it is very Half-Life in terms of like gameplay mechanics.
The way
Although
it looks,
for now, like
Dark Forces.
Yeah, Dark Force. That's the name. But for now, I feel like it's getting a lot of hype just because it's a Star Wars skinned game. But for now, it's just you shoot some stormtroopers and you open some doors and that's it. But yeah, if there's more to it, then I think this is kind of nice. Yeah, like modders always make it, a lot more fun.
Yeah. The other thing I want to mention is I got to control a robot again. I've talked about this before. Like I got to control Ricci in the past, who was this awesome robot from Pollen Robotics. But this guy is a guy called Chang Lu. He appeared in Dragon's Den here in the UK, and he got £150,000 in funding from Peter Jones for his sort of unique software, which allows you to control robots using VR. So essentially, the difference is that with Ricci was that you could see through one of his eyes, but it was a 2D feed, so it kind of made judging depth using his hands quite difficult. And I was kind of using shadows from the lights to kind of get a good idea of like the sense of depth and where my hand should be. But the way that Chang has done it with his company Extend Robotics is that he uses a RealSense camera from Intel, and actually streams a volumetric capture in real time to the headset with like practically no latency. So it's actually a 3D image streamed in real time, which is super impressive. The only limitation is, like, I don't know if you show the video or not, but you can only see like one side of the 3D objects. But in the future, he's going to add a second camera on the opposite side, so it'll be like a full volumetric capture. But yeah, controlling this like awesome, like 10 grand robot arm remotely from like 80 miles away, and, pouring beers and stacking bricks and doing this little like dexterity puzzle maze was just awesome. So I kind of love this stuff, robotics and VR when they collide. So that was super fun.
Is this kind of to test to see if we can make it to connect this year in this virtual appearance that we talked about before?
I'm just gonna send this arm instead and greet everyone that way. Yeah.
Last year where we spoke about like us riding around as robots. Well, maybe with this arm thing, it can get more personal. We can shake hands again. In a way.
Call it Ricci, please.
No soap necessary. So
Ricci. Great name for a robot.
It was a great name. But no, that kind of remote robotic stuff is so cool. It really is. Like, I mean, when I did that thing which was like the Chernobyl remote robot, it's just, there's something special about like controlling something real from a distance. And I still am really ingrained in the idea of like remote human on human, mech on mech combat from a distance. Like, I'd love to see a giant, I know this is ridiculous, but I'd love to see like a giant arena with two massive mechs, and like people are paying, I don't know, like you get like Elon Musk behind one and I don't know, somebody else behind the other one, and they fight in a big ring. Like, I would love to see that. You see metal panels flying, like gas lights going off.
Looking at the video, just don't let Mike operating those robots.
Yeah, like the future of robot wars. That's what you're talking about there, Zim.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Like, I mean, it could even be used for military, but I don't want to go down that route because
100% be used for military. Like, I kind of said that it would be kind of cool if you could use it for like fire and rescue stuff. So you don't have to put humans in danger. You could remotely control robots to do it all for you.
Those Boston Dynamic robots. Like, what if you had a whole army of them? Like, it just starts to get really freaking like nasty if you think about the future, right? And then Skynet and all that. But this this volumetric capture is pretty cool. I remember seeing something like that where they had done it. There was a guy out of, I think it was MIT or Harvard, who had done like volumetric capture like that in Skyrim to kind of approximate what was behind your character. But you could step out of your Skyrim character and see like that kind of those volumetric shadows happening. And it was really neat to be able to see in that environment and kind of look around you and stuff, things that hadn't been rendered yet. But yeah, the dual camera thing is pretty neat. But this whole concept of like volumetric capture, so difficult. Like, you've seen some of those rooms, right, where they've got like 300 cameras so that they eliminate, they make it all a nearly perfect scene. Like, how you do that, it's just, there's a lot of science going behind this.
It's like puzzling places, right? You've got these kind of puzzles that are made from volumetric captures. But what's so impressive with this is that it's being streamed in real time. And like, I hadn't seen that before.
I'm impressed really cool at your comment about latency, though. Like, that's the toughest part. When you're talking about mechatronics, like, you normally have a fair amount of latency, even if you're there operating the machine in person,
Yeah, it was fine. Like, I don't know how it would be if you were doing it from the other side of the world, but certainly from 80 miles away, perfectly viable. Yeah, perfectly viable. Really cool experience. Yeah, so that's what I've been up to.
So next time we're going to see Mike make a robot video where it's Mike's robot arm around the world. And then he tests to see, Mike in China, Mike in Russia, Mike in America, and then see what the latency is like. And just make it themed around that, like America, you make hamburgers. And
I love this stuff. I love this stuff.
Yeah, it's amazing, dude. It's next level.
It's the kind of stuff that I would have loved to watch, and I'd have watched on like Tomorrow's World or The Gadget Show or something like that growing up. So I find this stuff fascinating. But yeah, that's what I've been up to past couple of weeks. So before we get into the news, maybe we should thank the sponsor of the show. I don't know if Rowdy's disappeared to push the buttons, actually.
I'm
you ready?
I'm here.
Oh, sorry.
He's like, sponsor, no way.
He was talking to our sponsor on the side.
There was someone at the door, that's why.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sponsor.
Our sponsors
sponsor
at the door. Yeah. Make sure you play the video.
Hey, don't forget.
So yeah, we should thank the sponsor of the show, and that is VAL, which stands for the Virtual Athletics League. They sponsored us on the show last year, but they're back once again with their VR Winter Games for 2022. The Winter Games actually kicks off on the 26th of February, which is just next week, and it's going to be a series of online tournaments, fitness challenges, and fun events that you can enter and compete for your opportunity to win thousands in cash prizes. They're going to be hosting tournaments for plenty of VR games such as Real VR Fishing, Loco Dojo, Blast On, Rec Room Paintball, and Hyperdash. And every tournament has a cash prize pool of at least $1,000, along with Quest 2 headsets, which can be won. And Hyperdash alone has a prize pool of $5,000. It's a lot of cash. Wow. So if you think you've got what it takes to take on the VR Winter Games, check out the tournament schedule, which is available over at onearena.gg, which we've linked in the description down below.
Very nice. Can you repeat the games again that we'll be competing with? Sure.
So you've got Real VR Fishing, Loco Dojo, Blast On, Rec Room Paintball, and Hyperdash, and that's just a few of the games. They're hosting more than that, actually.
That's already a wide variety of genres, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So you should get your dad in there. Get your dad in there for the fishing one.
Loco Dojo?
$1,000.
Like, holy
Loco
cow.
Dojo.
Yeah.
Nathan doesn't have a chance. Remember when we played? No.
He's good at the pig one with the whip.
Yes, very good at that. Very practiced. I'm sorry, baby Grogu. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. So yeah, onearena.gg for the VR Winter Games. So let's get into the news. The first thing I want to talk about is a quick update from the last show where I talked about some upcoming VR games that you should have on your radar. One of those games was Vox Machinae from developers Space Bullet, as they were announcing they're bringing a full single-player story campaign to the game. And we were super hyped for it because we're a big fan of the way the mechs feel in that game. You basically are a mech pilot. But previously it was just like an online multiplayer mode where you take on other mechs. But now they're getting this full single-player campaign. The cool thing is that what I didn't realize at the time was that they're also bringing it to Quest, which is awesome.
It wasn't announced at the time. Yeah, it wasn't.
That's true. It wasn't announced at the time. So yeah, if you're a Quest owner and you're looking for like a mech game, you should definitely have your little beady eyes on this one. Yeah, it's great playing multiplayer. the way, like I said, the cabin feels, it's kind of like shaking and hulking around. So you really feel like you're in this huge hulking mech. And they've even got bigger mechs, apparently, in this story mode, which is coming. From their latest trailer, it states that the game will be coming as soon as the 3rd of March to both Quest and PC users via Steam. So, yeah, definitely worth having on your radar for sure.
That's an amazing release. I mean, that is going to kill. That is going to slay on Quest, I'm telling you now, because it is one of the best team games, and you can get like I think it's up to an 8v8 match going, like 16 players. And it just feels, play it. Buy it, play it. Space Bullet did an amazing job. I can't wait to see how well they crafted it over, because some of the lighting in that game was really nice, and I imagine they're going to have to drop a fair bit of the lighting to make it Quest worthy. Like dynamic shadows and stuff like that is normally where we see them kind of earn the performance they need to fit the game on Quest. I'm so thrilled. Like I'm beside myself thrilled that this is coming and on Quest, because I don't have to wait for my rig to show up to play this. So, the second this lands, like, I can't wait. It's going to be.
And I'm also happy for the devs, because they're going to be able to recoup a lot of the investment they've put into this game through the Quest, because as we know, the Quest store is just like monumental compared to PC VR stores.
You're basically saying it's finally launching.
Well, yeah, essentially.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking the same thing. This is exactly what the Eye of the Temple devs need to do, right? They built an amazing game. They launched it on PC VR. It didn't get quite as much attention as I think it probably deserves to. But if it launched on Quest, it would, again, that's another title that I think would really do well, because it's quite unique in what it does. And this one, again, just to mention it, they're bringing a full-on campaign, which is so cool. Awesome. People like Rowdy who don't like people, they can enjoy this, when it lands. You don't have to worry about getting with people. And I think, I don't know if you saw the news there, but we had another kind of death from the Steam store. They pulled Bridge Crew, which is another great multiplayer game. And it's like, we've seen it with other Ubisoft titles as well. They're starting to pull things off the shelf that we used to play. And it's hard to see that. But that's why having this spine of single player is critical for longevity in these titles. So I'm so glad to see that.
So
like Space Junkies.
Space Junkies. Fuck hell, yeah.
That could have had a campaign like Unreal Tournament. I mean, that would have been really cool.
That was a really cool game. It deserved to do way better than it did. It's just that they launched it at a ridiculously high price. That was the problem with that game.
And at the wrong time. Expensive. Too late. Way too late. If they'd launched it 2 years earlier, like back when it was a demo, even early access, it would have done a really good job at a decent price, like $20, not 50. It was a bad move by them. I think that could come back. That IP still has merit, and they should really consider doing the same thing. Questify it, bring it out, follow the Vox model, right? Give it a campaign, and you're sorted.
Definitely, yeah. Also, thanks to Squeaks in the chat, by the way. Thank you for the super chat. Really appreciate it. Thank you guys for getting me into VR, by the way. Oh, you're very welcome, dude. Thank you. So now let's talk more about the Quest 2 and Meta, because we've got some news from them. If you're based in the US, you were probably knee-deep in beer and chicken wings last weekend watching the Super Bowl. And many of you may have seen Meta's new ad for the Quest 2 during the show. It's quite an unusual one. Did you guys see this ad?
Yeah.
Yes. So there's actually two cuts of the ad. There's a longer extended version, and there's the standard one. Saw both of those, and managed to actually go to Questies as well. So I'll talk to you about that.
Oh, you did go to Questies. Oh, interesting. Okay, well, that's going to be interesting. So if you missed the ad, let me kind of describe it to you. It's kind of more like a short story than an ad. It's clear they took inspiration from like John Lewis, the Christmas ads that we see here in the UK, a bit unusual and weird. But it basically revolved around this kind of band of puppets that play at like a Chuck E. Cheese type place. We don't actually have Chuck E. Cheese here in the UK, but, think of like a Five Nights at Freddy's, Freddy Fazbear's restaurant. That's kind of what it looks like, right?
We also don't have that here, but yeah.
But I'm just imagining someone who has no idea what a Chuck E. Cheese is, and now they're thinking, why would I ever bring my kids to Freddy Fazbear's place for pizza?
Well, that's what Five Nights at Freddy's is based on, right?
Yeah, that's what it's based. That's how I found out about the whole like real thing in the US, because of Five Nights.
What's the closest you have in the UK? It's probably the Wax Museum. Whatchamacallit?
Wax
Madame Two Swords.
Yeah, Madame Tussauds is probably the
That's
can't
different,
eat there.
though. That's very different, right?
That's,
You don't eat
that's so
pizza at
random.
Madame Tussauds.
I'm really stretching. Is there anything
we do
like it?
here.
Are there any animatronics in the UK, like restaurants? I don't think so.
I've never seen one. No. Anyway,
Pity.
we digress. It's
Wow.
Chuck E. Cheese type place. There's like a band of puppets. They're all playing, and then over time, the place kind of empties. It gets older. The store closes down. The puppets are kind of disbanded. The band is over. One of the puppets, he gets sold to a pawn shop. He then like falls off the back of a truck. He gets scooped up and almost put in like a compressor where he gets crushed to death. But he gets rescued from that, and then later put in a museum exhibit where a guy who's wearing a Quest 2 in an exhibit, why I don't know, puts the Quest 2 on this bear's head. He enters Horizon Worlds, where there's a world called Questies, which looks very similar to his kind of Chuck E. Cheese old restaurant, and he's reunited with his old bandmates, and they play the song "Don't You Forget About Me" by Simple Minds. It's super weird. It's super weird for an ad for a VR headset, but apparently, according to my American friends, that's kind of the goal for these Super Bowl ads. Apparently, they're supposed to be weird. And in a way, I think it's almost part of the marketing in that a lot of people talk about how weird they are, like we are now. And it gets people talking about their products. I kind of don't think it's a great idea. I think, bearing in mind they spent, $10 million on this ad, they could have used something a little bit better that actually sells VR, because I don't think this ad sells VR, or I don't know.
Something that was also weird, but was more VR, you're saying?
Yeah, but I just don't know who this appeals to. Like, does this appeal to kids? Is this for parents that are like
it.
Just
nostalgia for
I really liked it.
furries? I don't know who this is for.
It's for boomer people who watch the Super Bowl.
Exactly. I think it's for the 30s and 40s year olds, American audience,
Right.
because it struck a chord with me. Now I can see why you think it's bizarre and strange and weird and all those things. But someone who and I don't watch the Super Bowl. I'm not a football guy, right? I'm not. But seeing the ad on its own, not sandwiched in between rounds of football and sports and big guys who grunt at each other, I really liked the kind of downtrodden, like depressing vibe that it gives you, because it does this whole like U-turn between happy, lots of sadness, and then, oh, we got back together again. And I think that a lot of people who are in their 30s and 40s will have disconnected from their friends, particularly over the last 2 years, will have gone through a bunch of shit that they just don't feel good about. And Quest is kind of offering you the open door to say, like, come back together, plug in with your friends. It doesn't do a good job of demonstrating the capability of the Quest at all. All it does is it shows you just the little seed at the end to be like, oh, you can go and do Quest. And I think in that short little blip, you have to watch it several times to kind of get it. I don't think I would have walked away and said, I'm going to go check out what a Quest is. So from that side, advertising-wise, it is bizarre. But I actually really liked it. As somebody who used to, I grew up at Chuck E. Cheese's, and that it gave me that lovely vibe. But like at the end, I felt that little twinkle of like, oh, magic. It was nice. So, but I get your stance, and I get why a lot of people hate it. But
I understand that statement, but I'm on the completely opposite side of the spectrum. And the problem that I have again with this is that I agree with people, they want to get together, this and that. But then when you see it comes from Meta, it's just a problem. It just becomes a problem because, and I just looked what was the top comment on the video as well, and I think that's what a lot of people think about it when they hear, oh, it's Facebook or it's Meta. And the top comment is from Actually. It says, in quotation marks, "We destroyed your world, so you could now come play in ours." Meta. And I kind of get that feeling, because I thought that indeed there was a very depressing kind of way in the world is being portrayed. The world that we live in is just not good enough, and everything is depressing and everything is bad. That's why we have this brand new thing for you that you can come and try out, and it's all fluffy and all nice and this and that. It's just not real. The real world is not depressing. And the virtual world is not fun either, because if you if you at the moment go into Facebook Horizons or Horizon Worlds or wherever they changed it to, it's more like the first part of the video. It's dead. There's nothing to do. It's dry. It's just not how VR is. So a lot of people who would get tricked by this, I don't know. It just rubs me the wrong way. That's what it is. Really.
I do agree with you, Rowdy, because I think, the main use case for the Quest 2 right now is gaming. And I think they should just leverage that and just say, look, this is how awesome gaming is in VR. But the thing is, and I'm
that's
sure
not what they want to.
I'm preempting what Nathan is going to say, is that they're changing tact here. They're moving away from the gaming side and saying, look at our amazing social world with Horizon. But honestly, I don't feel like Horizon separates itself enough from like VR chat or Rec Room or Big Screen, which have been around for years. I don't think it offers anything drastically different enough for people to say, I'm going to go in Horizon instead.
Yeah, the problem is like Horizon, if it was ready to go, then this commercial could have worked in a way. But the thing is, even if this commercial is successful and people jump into Horizon, then they'll find out that there's not much going on in there yet. So, that's the problem. And the thing is, if you then, have this big Super Bowl commercial and you bet so massively on your like social thing that they pump money in, because this Horizon thing is something they want to be successful. Like Rec Room and VR, they became successful because the community chose it as a place to stay in and live in. And that's why it feels more like organic, feels more real. Well, this, even in the commercial, you can kind of feel it feels kind of dystopian almost. Kind of like going from sad to more sadness. That's kind of how I see it. Because the thing, and that's because I know how this app got created once. If let's say you replace this with VR chat or Rec Room, we would have had a different discussion here. But it's meta, so you already have a certain taste. And I think that's, for us, it's hard to kind of, because we're not the target audience. So the people who see the Super Bowl are not really into the whole meta thing, are not necessarily into tech from like this deep perspective, are not going to mind so much. But I still think that even, let's say, boomers who jump into Horizon will find out that there is no sustenance there. There is no real thing going on there. That's what I haven't played it, so I'm just talking about what I've seen so far.
Well, maybe we should speak to Zim then. How did you find it? Because you jumped into Questies, which is this like Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah, well, I went to Questies last. I did kind of three main things in Horizon. It was my first time in Horizon. This was last night, and I was like, I just want to see what this is. Before it all just kind of fades out or whatever.
Now that you can.
Now that I can, I actually didn't know. I was like, do I have to pay for it or be part of a program? So I just looked at the store. I was like, okay, I can just go straight in. Great. So I did. First thing that kind of caught my eye was, again, the negatives, right? Textures and all that kind of stuff. It really pales in comparison. It's like a very basic version of a Rec Room, right? There were plenty of people there. I will say that. So in the rooms that I went to, it was like 32 out of 32 people, that type of thing. So there were plenty of people to bump into. My very first experience, I will say, was bang on par with Rec Room. Was a kid screaming profanities at me. After that, however, that was my only negative from a social perspective. And then there was a bunch of mostly adults in there that I was rubbing shoulders with, hearing conversations. Went to a comedy club. I thought there was going to be a comedian. There was a mic on the stand. The mic wasn't like in alt space. If you take a microphone off, it'll kind of God voice you, so you can kind of hear. But people were trying to crack some jokes. People were just kind of in groups of 5 or 6 pockets talking to each other. It was a bunch of people, mostly stateside, I could tell from the accents and things like that. And they were telling each other where they lived and stuff like that. And it was quite nice. It was kind of like just walking into a hangout joint. So that part I was kind of surprised about, because I was expecting it to be dead as a doornail. And so I liked that bit. And then I went on to, I'll skip the second part, but I ended up in Questies, because I was like, okay, that's kind of my destination where I wanted to head. Bit of a dark room. And the first thing I played was, what do you call that? Table ice hockey game.
Air hockey.
Air hockey. So I played an air hockey game, and it was pretty lagged to the point of not making it very fun. Some lady came up, and I invited her up, and she joined me. We were playing or whatever.
You invited her up?
What's that?
You invited her up immediately?
Well, it's kind of on a. I see what you're saying. Cute. There's like a staircase up to the air hockey table. So I was knocking it back and forth with. God, that's sounding wrong now. I was knocking it back and forth
on the air hockey table. Okay.
On the air hockey table, and it was pretty lagged. And then I did a couple of other games. There was a shooting game and stuff, but they were all like, they all paled in comparison. They all were like rubbish versions of something you could do in the other social apps. But the people who were in there, the majority of them were new questers, and they didn't mind. And I was like, I just wanted to have a megaphone and be like, guys, it's not this rubbish. It's there's way better stuff, like way better stuff. It's gonna blow your mind. And the thing is, I got this vibe of like they didn't really mind. They were nice, like they really enjoyed the social side. I probably bumped shoulders with about 50, 60 people, talking to them and stuff like that. And they seem, and this is the part where it kind of opened my mind of like, this is platform level social platform. And even if it's crap, because someone walked down to Walmart or whatever, picked up the headset, went home and connected with strangers from afar, that's going to be enough for them. You know what I mean? And then the next thing that they experience, that'll be the primary entry point, and then they'll go off to something else. So even though I still think it's
and that's
not
the
great,
audience they want to reach, right? The
so
average
I
Joes.
think it's going to end up working for them, which I
It
really
will,
didn't expect.
but with that, and that's what I see happening now, is they're gonna like leave the gaming side because they seem to being betting way bigger on social than on the gaming side, and I think maybe they should because, well, gaming is also a total different ball game, I don't know. I just don't like. I don't feel like I'm the person who is like who this is made for. Although I still want to try it. I still think that, as Mike said, he was joking about maybe Horizon, this VR experience coming out earlier. I think the reason why they still can't open it is because Europe is cracking down big time on meta, and it's hard for them to release anything at this point in Europe, especially these like social things as well.
If I had to hazard a guess as to why they can't, it's because of their system for safety, which they alert you to when you join, where they're taking voice clips and they're broadcast. They're kind of on a rolling basis, like a CCTV. They're capturing you the whole time. I would bet that the legislation requirements for that to come over into various countries is what's blocking them at the moment, or being a speed bump.
But at this point, and I tweeted about this, is that like Meta is now going beyond like communicating that this Horizon thing is for the North American people, right? Where first they put disclaimers on everything. Now they don't care anymore. They just tweet it out. They upload trailers. They do everything. But every day you see people trying to download this or find it. And they're like, oh, I can't play it. So you really feel left out now if you're here. On all sides, it starts to feel like a very American VR business. You know what I mean?
I'll have a story for you a bit later on when we get into releases that's similar to that. But I mean, this whole idea of like region-locked experiences is difficult for, I think, our generation, gluing probably 3 generations together. It's tough for us to take it because we're used to the internet. We're used to open borders. We don't live in China or Russia or somewhere where they're trying to gatekeep the internet.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like, that's what it feels like. It feels to us like, what the fuck is this? This feels like communism or whatever. I'm not anti-communist.
And you need to also, like, we're consumers, but we're also trying to do our job, and we can't do our job because they're not allowing us to try things.
Yeah, but I think you guys won't be enamored with it. I think you'll be like, what I expected it to be.
It's like, it's interest, common interest, and it's like knowledge too, to understand what is this, like what is Horizon, who plays it, like you said, now I understand. Okay, average Joes, that's the kind of people you meet, But the one thing that works really well in that environment, I thought, was the way the facial animation, the mouth, your custom avatar works together. Yeah, the avatars are amazing.
Oculus avatar system is working
amazing.
Very well. In that social dynamic, there's still, of course, the terrible uncanny valley of I'm not looking at a human being, but it feels fine
And when I tried it in Horizon Workrooms, which I assume is the same system, it was really good, actually.
Workrooms, aside from the absolutely horrendously painful setup process, which feels like you're going through 10 different web check-on forms and signing things up, it's amazing what it does. Did you try out the Workrooms part where it does the punch through camera and you can write on your desk, for example, it uses pass-through?
Yeah, it was great.
That's amazing. That's incredible. So I would recommend for people, because Workrooms is free, it's worth the pain of going through an hour's worth of setup or 40 minutes of setup with another person just to try that out. It's really neat to kind of draw. It's weird. You draw with the butt of a Quest controller as if it's a fat pen. And it works very well, very well.
It does. So
I'm looking forward to that sometime in future, that tech.
But like what Nathan said with this ad and their sort of pivot away from gaming looks like, they're aiming more to the social side. I'm sort of feeling that disconnect between me as a consumer and my, wants and needs from the product. Do you know what I mean? I feel like I'm kind of being left out a little bit, because at the end of the day, I'm not really interested in social VR. I'm a VR gamer. That's what I would say. I'm in it for the games. And seeing this pivot and the name change and everything else, I'm kind of like feel like I'm losing that affinity with the brand that I loved for so many years. And that for me is a problem.
Yeah, well, I mean, they technically bought a gaming company. Oculus was, to me, also like a gaming company, and now they're completely changing it up. Like there's nothing left of what's Oculus. There's nothing left. So it's you kind of need to stick with this. But I agree with you, Mike. Like I start to look at Meta more as like for my work kind of thing, what I'm doing on YouTube, more as like, okay, they're a company to do VR, but I start to feel less and less a connection, like an emotional connection I used to have, like I had with Oculus, where it's more, okay, they do their thing, they must be doing something good for the VR scene, but it's hard to really, well, that's why I think you and I are starting to like lean more and more towards like, PlayStation now, and really almost, longing for like this gaming like thing again, where,
Yeah. No, I totally get it. And we should mention about the numbers, because they also revealed those. They had a meeting recently and revealed that Horizon and venues are seeing around 300,000 monthly active users. And as we know, most of those users are going to be US, Canada. Upload VR compared this to Rec Room, because obviously they're very similar. Rec Room has been around for a long, long time. Rec Room actually 6 months ago reported that they're having 1 million active monthly users across all VR platforms. But of course, that's just not Quest. They've also got PSVR and Steam to make up those numbers as well. But a similar sort of story from Darshan at Big Screen. He chimed in on Twitter recently stating that Big Screen has a significantly larger amount of monthly users than both Horizon and venues combined. But again, Big Screen is available on both Quest and Steam, whereas Horizon Worlds is only available on Quest right now and only locked to US and Canada. I do think it's very early days. You can also use
Big Screen flat, right? So those numbers will be polluted to some degree as not just. Isn't that possible? I think we're able to use it.
Rec Room flat. You can play.
Rec Room flat, but can't Big Screen also be used flat? Am I wrong?
No.
Okay. I thought it was.
Yeah, it is very early days for these meta platforms. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But, the thing is, they need to differentiate themselves from these other big social platforms that have been around for years and years and years and have a passionate and dedicated community already built around these apps. And they need to do something drastically different enough to think, okay, well, instead of going to Rec Room, instead of going to VR Chat, instead of going to Big Screen, I'm going to go Horizon instead. But whether they'll be able to pull that off, I have no idea.
Hopefully they don't think that it's like the NFT and the crypto stuff that is going to make it happen.
NFTs in gaming, we've seen time and time again, can just get lost. Gamers do not want NFTs in their games.
But I'm saying in Horizon, like in this social thing.
Who knows?
It's coming. It's absolutely coming, because
who knows?
And the way I see it, Mike, I see it a little different to you, because the other social platforms have to compete shoulder to shoulder. But if you're the platform, right, they could literally make it that startup home environment that you're right into Horizon. Like that's where you start. You don't have to open an app or anything. You start there. And to Nathan's point about like the NFT side, right? You want another fancy jacket? You want to show off to your friends? It's gonna be on the back of that spine. That's the social arm, and it'll be there. And they've already expressed an interest in monetizing that store and owning that. That's going to be a
difficult nut to crack, though, I think, because the gaming market is vehemently against NFTs.
But let's say they target like this average Joe audience that Zim met in Horizon. That's a different story. Let's say you watch this commercial, right? And you watch the Super Bowl, and they say like, well, we had like 500 Super Bowl T-shirts that you could get in Horizon. That's where it starts. We're like, wow, I want that T-shirt. So they get into it, and then I do believe it's gonna happen. Like I think in social worlds, it's easier to kind of roll that into it. But yeah, as you said, gaming. Because then gaming is a total, like, I also defend that realm myself in terms of NFTs,
but I think it's social. For gaming once you can build a character cross games.
Well, yeah,
that's a problem. Like Master Chief isn't going to work in like Rec Room, for example. Do you know what I mean?
Minecraft. Yeah.
But I do think that is going to happen eventually. Then you can build a character, and then you can, for example, play Horizon
maybe
Zero
I
Dawn
feel like
as
a
the
boomer
Master
that's
Chief
like on
or
my
whatever.
rocking chair, and I'm like, I don't
Mike
like this
is a
new
boomer.
stuff. I
Boomer
don't know.
alert.
I honestly, so the picture that Rowdy just painted to me is exactly when they unveiled the meta name. Do you remember the robot and all the other characters sitting around the table? I mean, that's what they imagined already for this universe. And I think what's going to happen is the pollutant, we're going to call it that for the moment, because I know none of us like it as gamers. The pollutant of NFTs is going to enter via social. And then those, as Nathi says, the kind of more casual gamer type will bring it in slowly because they'll just be accepting it as it leaches into games. And then it'll be with us. And I think that's an inevitable future, unfortunately, because of the money behind it.
Did you also hear this story about people trying to go to the Foo Fighters in venues and then it just didn't really work?
Yeah, I don't want to dwell on it too much because we're going to run out of time. Otherwise, we're going to be like a 3-hour show. Yeah. But yeah, I heard it was a bit of a mess. If you're interested in following that story, Kent Bai did a great thread on his experience with the Foo Fighters. Wow. But yeah, apparently it was like an oversubscribed event. There was a lot of people trying to get in there. The servers couldn't really handle it. They crashed a lot. And then apparently the experience inside, once they did get in, wasn't particularly great.
I'm just surprised that like Meta is still doing these like 3D kind of cameras, right? That you can like then watch from different angles. Why are they not going for what Fortnite did with like Travis Scott or what VRChat did with like Sean Paul or something? Yeah. Like why are they not? Why is it still so old school?
Because they don't have the audience for it.
Not Sean Paul. You mean Sean Michael Gier?
Sean Michael?
Jean Gier?
Whatever the other guy, the other Sean.
The other Sean. You get my point. But, you know, you have different ways of doing concerts. And I think the Foo Fighters would have benefited from that.
Yeah.
You know, they could have, like, you could have put them on, like, a Super Bowl stadium or something. And
But I don't think they have the audience for doing that off. They don't have a Fortnite audience. They don't have an audience that can...
Fortnite audience.
Yeah, like,
it's not mature enough.
It's not mature enough.
Jean-Michael Gier.
Jean-Michael Gier, yeah. I agree. The maturity isn't there yet in the audience in terms of the count and the outlay that you're going to have to give for the equipment. But it's coming. It's coming. It'll be there like eventually. Eric, but like you, Eric, I feel every time I watch one of those, you kind of feel like this is old school tech. I mean, this is like tech that we were struggling with in a Gear VR 5 years ago, right? I mean, this is like, what the hell am I watching?
It's just not that immersive. I mean, it's kind of cool. If you're a big fan, then you're going to enjoy it. But it's just not the tipping point of entertainment, you know?
I said I wouldn't dwell on it, the Foo Fighters thing, but I just want to mention a comment from Eric Hartley in the chat. He said it wasn't 3D cameras even, it was monoscopic 180 VR. So you didn't even get that kind of 3D effect of being there with the Foo Fighters, which is, you know, a missed opportunity, I think. But anyway.
The weird thing is, in venues, I'll just mention one more thing. If you were watching like Gavin Free and those guys. No, this isn't. Well, I'm just saying.
Go ahead.
That stuff is normally monoscopic in venues. Like normally you don't get that content. And it's really weird because there are things that have crossed over between the Oculus platform where you can watch it outside of venues and see it in stereo. But then in venues, they restrict it to mono. And it's like, why didn't they build the interconnects? It's very strange, right? So I hope they fix that. Yeah, they need to fix that.
In other news, just rounding up the kind of meta news, Quest 2 continues to dominate the Steam VR hardware survey, with the Quest 2 representing over 46% of all VR headsets using Steam VR. So no surprise, really, how capable the headset is and, you know, how cheap it is. But yeah, a crazy number.
Yeah, but also, if you look at the hardware that got sold recently, no one has really succeeded. Like, I still have to meet someone who's still wearing a Vive Flow on their heads or do, you know, like there's no other hardware really that is really penetrating the consumer market right now.
Definitely.
Although, like, Vive Flow is maybe... Well, yeah.
Definitely
you know, like if you want a Quest 2, you can get a Quest 2.
Yeah.
Quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. The next headset on the list was Valve Index at 14.36%. And then you have Rift S still holding on strong at 13.10%. And then the original Vive, 7.31%. So, yeah. So really nothing comes close in terms of...
But I think Steam is not so concerned because they're laughing their asses off because they're like, haha, look at the people. They don't have, like, they're not going to Oculus Home, but they go to Steam to play games. I think they have like a key position here.
Well, the Oculus PC platform, you know, has been abandoned for such a long time.
Well, that's
now.
what I'm
no
saying.
Surprise.
So they go to Steam. Yeah.
But maybe we should, while on the subject of like Valve Index and Steam hardware surveys, maybe we should talk about Valve next. Then I was going to talk about another headset first, but I'll talk about this because it kind of matches. It's a good segue. Because if you're a Valve Index owner, you might be happy to hear that they're going to be partnering with website iFixit to offer replacement parts for the Valve Index, so you can repair it yourself if something bad happens, which I think is actually pretty awesome. I think this is great for any company to do. Apparently, this isn't the first VR headset to do this. Apparently, HTC partnered with iFixit in the past with the original Vive. Even now, if you go onto the iFixit website, you can see a whole list of individual components that make up the HTC Vive to replace it. And this comes down to lenses, displays, control board, coverings for the headset, straps, everything, which is amazing, really. This announcement was made via the official Steam News Hub, where they announced that iFixit will become authorized sellers of replacement parts for their upcoming handheld PC, the Steam Deck. A lot of hype around that, obviously. But they also announced that alongside the Steam Deck, they're also going to be offering parts for the Valve Index, which is really cool, I think. And it's weird because when I was looking at the details, I was like, I can't believe the Index is almost 3 years old now.
I know.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Time has marched on very quickly since the Index launched. And I'm looking forward to the next one.
It's definitely going to happen. Of course, like we talked about, sadly, it's Bradley predictions around like the Valve Decade. You can go back a few episodes to listen to that. But, I think because it's 3 years old now, there's going to be a lot of headsets out of warranty and, broken headsets potentially. And instead of investing all that money into a brand new headset, the fact that you can just buy a part and, it's going to take a little bit of work, of course, to strip it down and put it back together. But iFixit normally have pretty decent video guides on how to do this, so you don't break anything even further. But yeah, I think it's great. What I would love to see, tailing on the back of this, would be the ability to upgrade your headset with components. Because as time goes on, parts become cheaper or more widely available, and maybe you want to swap out your Fresnel lenses or your Fresnel lenses, for like pancake lenses, for example, or you want to upgrade like the displays in there. Obviously, that's not like a rudimentary thing. You can't just swap out a higher res display. But if something like that was possible, I think that would be really, really cool.
That's what didn't Razer that try that with OS VR, where it was like a moddable headset, but I don't think that really went anywhere in the end.
The thing is, like, I always like these ideas and these like modifiable kind of things, but the reality with like consumer electronics is that it rarely happens, right? We've said that about phones, that it would be so cool to like have your camera switch out and your battery can switch out and this and that. But ultimately what it came down to, they became slimmer and slimmer and slimmer. And like if something becomes like swappable, it needs to be a bit bulkier. And I don't see that happening with VR headsets, at least not at this point. Maybe in the future that they manage to do something like that. But I think that what we're going to see is it's not something that is swappable, but I think more streamlined. I think that's the direction that we're going to.
Plus, like fast food hardware still sells way better than having people to replace it. So, it's not where the money is, sadly.
Yeah.
Did you were going to say something, Zim?
No. I just basically the same thing Rowdy's saying. I agree that from an engineering perspective, yeah, exactly. High five, Canadian brother. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Having a little bromance moment there. I feel left out now.
I kind of feel.
You can give
room, guys.
High five.
We'll save it for later. So Valve, they're still hammering out the details right now, so it's not available right now on the iFixit website, but apparently will be coming soon alongside the Steam Deck, which is also pretty exciting as well. So keep your eyes peeled for that, especially if you've got a broken Index that you want to repair, that's sitting on the shelf somewhere. But pretty cool from Valve, I think. Yep. So let's talk about a new VR headset. This is new stuff. It's been a while since we talked about a new VR headset, but this is a pretty interesting one. Won't appeal to everyone, but interesting nevertheless. This is a VR headset called the Simula One. It's unique in that it's designed purely as an office-focused standalone VR headset built on Linux. So just for productivity, built on Linux.
So say that again. VR. So the standalone.
Yep.
Linux.
Yep.
But used, for productivity. What was the office? Oh, productivity. Oh.
Yeah. So for business productivity use.
Architects.
I like anything that is Linux. Anything that is a Linux. I've been wanting to get a Linux phone even. Like anything that is a Linux I love. So I'm already in love with this. I don't care what the specs are.
Okay, you
Oh, yeah,
might
Next
get a
topic.
bit upset about the price, but
Yeah.
I'll save that for the end. So they state the headset provides comparable functionality to any Linux laptop or PC, but in an all-in-one VR headset. The Simula One team state the benefits of a headset like this are persistent, always-on computing wherever you are. You're able to walk and think and just put this thing on and work. So they have like a video. I don't know if you're showing this, Rowdy, but where he's putting it on in like a coffee shop, and there's like all these people around him with laptops, and they're kind of like looking on it in envy at this guy putting on a VR headset and working in VR. Kind of funny ad. I don't know how people would react in reality if someone was doing this, but I thought it was kind of interesting. They say that you can have 10 more screens in a VR headset like this than you can on a PC or a laptop, which we've always talked about that in terms of productivity. The benefit being that you can have multiple displays, giving you all the information that you need at one time. They say that, if you're in VR, you're more focused because you're immersed in your VR environment. You're not being distracted by your mobile phone. Again, we've kind of talked about this in the past about watching movies in VR with big screen, that, you're not distracted by the real world when you're in that environment. It's kind of almost a better way to watch a movie in that sense. They say this headset has 6 degrees of freedom hand tracking. They have an AR pass-through mode. So you can see your keyboards and surroundings. And I think in this video, the lady even gives him a coffee, and you can see her in full stereo.
He had a little bit of trouble
pass-through.
drinking that coffee, though. Did you see that? Like, it's like,
Yeah, he's missing his coffee straw, that's for sure. This headset will connect with Bluetooth keyboards, mice using Bluetooth. Contains the highly customizable open source Simula OS, which is based on Linux. Spec-wise, we've got a pretty impressive spec sheet here. Really high resolution display. We're talking 2448, so 2448 by 2448 pixels per eye, which is one of the highest resolutions we've seen in a VR headset. Wow. What is it? PSVR2 is going to be 2000 by 2000 roughly. This is going to have 100-degree field of view running at 90 hertz refresh rate, so pretty standard in terms of specs there. But like I said, it does feature this kind of like high resolution RGB camera, AR pass-through, so full stereo color pass-through, which is impressive. This is where things get a bit crazy, and it kind of separates itself from the pack, in that at the back of this headset it has a module, and in this module is essentially an 11th gen NUC from Intel. So I don't know if you're aware of the Intel NUC. It's basically a really small form factor PC. But basically they've taken the guts out of that and put it on the back of this head strap, and this contains, this is mental, an i7 processor, 16 gigabytes of memory, onboard graphics from Iris Xe, 1 terabyte SSD, Wi-Fi 6, Bluetooth 5.2, a 3.5mm audio jack. It also has USB 4 support for Thunderbolt 4 connections, 2 USB-C connections, and 2 USB-A connections. And like I said, this comes pre-installed with Linux. Crazy.
That literally sounds like they duct taped a NUC to the back of the head with that many ports.
Yes, essentially, yes. That's exactly what they've done. Yeah, pretty crazy. I wonder how much this headset weighs. I didn't get that information, but I'd imagine it's not going to be super light. I do like the design of this. It kind of reminds me of like an Atari VR headset would look like, or something like that. It's kind of got this like kind of retro future aesthetic.
It looks like a light gun or something, but it also, someone in chat said, I thought it was a great comment, it looks like it takes a floppy disk. Like it should have a floppy go into the side of it, right?
Exactly that, like future retro. That's exactly
it
what
looks
it
like
looks
the
like.
front side of an old Windows whatever computer.
I like the styling though, because although it's not for me, like I think it's cool to see a VR headset that isn't just the same bloody VR headset we've seen again and again. So
very unique.
Applause for the designers to that.
I absolutely love it. Like I mean I'm a huge Linux fan. Like I should maybe say that before that, since I use it for. Well, I use it basically for everything. I like it a lot better than, for example, Windows, and certainly more than Mac. But it's. This is not a gaming device, of course. This is something it's
definitely not for gaming.
But I like it again because Linux is open source. It has full modifications that are possible of the operating system. I don't know, like I assume that he developed his own operating system on there. He's using Linux, but a specific distribution or something that he's probably developing.
I'm not sure what it's based on. No, I'm not sure what it's based on. But it's funny because you mentioned gaming. Although it's not designed for gaming, it does support a tethered mode where you can connect it to a Windows or Steam VR, system. But there's no controllers with it, so it's either hand tracking or you use a keyboard. That's the general sort of use cases they show in the trailers. So I don't know if you could use it doesn't look like you can use Steam VR tracking to connect index controllers or anything like that. So
well, I mean, I don't think Steam VR tracking would be because Steam VR is also based on Linux again. It's again a Linux system with where that is based on. But the thing is with a lot of Linux operating systems is that they've been aiming more and more for more consumer versions. For example, Ubuntu nowadays is I think very user friendly. You can play pretty much all of the Steam VR games, even if they're not supported originally by Linux. You can, sadly, Bradley is working on that a lot as well and trying to figure a lot of that stuff out. But I think that especially in the recent years, has become way and way more easier to do and simple to apply. I mean, you need to love a terminal if you work in Linux, but if you do, then I think it's great.
Well, the thing is, like we know, the Steam Deck and, we talked about Decade, both going to be Linux-based, and with Decade, again, it's going to be a standalone PC essentially in a VR headset. So similar probably, to what this is set up for, but it's going to be a lot cheaper and probably streamed down in terms of component sort of specs to make it more affordable. But yeah, it's kind of interesting, this kind of emergence of Linux-based standalone VR headsets. It's going to be an interesting time over the next few years.
Yeah. I don't see it taken off immediately, but I welcome an addition like this always, because again, it's open source and it allows for a lot of creativity.
The look and feel of the headset to me, almost, I know we were just talking about modular VR. It almost looks like something that could be that little bit bulkier, have the weight on the front and the back, have panels so you could hot swap, if you wanted to upgrade the RAM or whatever else, you wanted to make changes to it. Really, the fusion of those two ideas sounds quite sexy, like the kit car for VR enthusiasts, and it would have its own custom look. You might even be able to get, skins for it or do something custom yourself. Pretty neat. I haven't seen a headset yet that kind of turned me on that path. So I'm really looking forward to it. I know nothing of Linux. I am absolutely noob when it comes to Linux stuff. So I'd have to ask Rowdy for tips if I picked up this headset.
You guys might change your opinion a little bit when I talk about price.
Of course.
Uh-oh. How many zeros?
So this thing is an absolute beast, spec-wise. It's
but
mental.
Rowdy was going to buy it, right?
Yeah, Rowdy, you ready to remortgage your
apartment?
Keep the super chats coming because
yeah, Rowdy's.
This is why we did so many sponsors lately, so we can buy Rowdy this, Yeah,
exactly.
So yeah, with the beast specs comes beast pricing. So this is going to cost you $2,699 for this headset, and that's kind of like the base standalone version. There is a tethered version that's a little bit cheaper, and there's also a Founders Edition, which is twice the price. I don't really know why. But you can pre-order it right now. They were going to launch it via Kickstarter, but they changed their mind. So now they're opening pre-orders directly through the Simula One website, but they don't expect them to be shipping anytime before Q4 of this year. So
yeah, that's pricey. That's a level where you're like, don't give it to your kid because they're going to drop it on the face and break it in one fell swoop.
Yeah, pretty cool though. Pretty cool. Like we said, it's not necessarily for us, but I like these unusual VR headsets for unusual VR use cases.
What was the name again, Mike?
Simula One.
Simula One. And is that the company name or the headset name?
I think the headset is Simula One. I think the company is Simula because they call the OS Simula OS.
So Power on VR in the chat is asking what the storage space is like.
1 terabyte SSD.
Yeah.
1 terabyte. That's massive.
That's huge.
That's
4 times
crazy.
your biggest Quest. Yeah. And battery life, did we hear anything?
Twice the size of biggest Quest.
The battery capacity, I mean. Oh, that's
don't know about battery capacity. Yeah. Pretty cool stuff though. And like you said about the module at the back, you could take that module out with the NUC inside and probably upgrade the components in that over time. So it does have potentially some modularity to it.
Well, with that many ports, you can even get access to stuff. You know how people are. They could be shoving stuff in there and having stuff dangling off them.
Base tracking, all sorts of modules.
All kinds of stuff.
All kinds of stuff.
I see the FReality chat saying, Linux is freedom and Windows is updates forever. I do not condone this. I am not a part of this, It's a
100%.
Sorry, our account sometimes goes rogue. I don't know who's doing it, but it wasn't me. It wasn't me.
Terrible. So yeah, that's the Simula One VR headset. Kind of interesting, I thought. The final bit of news is very out there. So please, before you start getting like super hyped, take this with a huge pinch of salt. Okay? Because this came as a rumor. I saw this as like a Reddit post, but I thought it was interesting enough to share.
Is it going to be an insane update?
I'm curious.
Or an amazing thing?
Is it what we put in the title of this video?
Incredible. Is it incredible?
Yeah, we've teased it with the title of the video. So if you've seen that, if you're an audio listener, the suspense is there. But if you're watching the live stream, you know already. But essentially, this Reddit post said that Metal Gear Solid original game is being remade and coming as a launch title for PSVR2. So it's going to be a hybrid game, is what they said. So they're going to remake the original Metal Gear Solid game. It's going to come as a flat game, but also have a PSVR2 mode and is going to be available on PSVR2 launch. So this was posted by a user named F. Jaeger 58041. It was a throwaway account. So and he said that in his post, it's a throwaway account. But he wanted to share this information that he got apparently from someone that is close to this kind of game being made. This was 11 days ago, posted on one of these kind of like subreddits that talks about leaks. But I'll read what he says. It says, "Not much I can say without someone at risk, nor do I have online credibility, posting on a throwaway account. Apparently, the development studio behind this was Blueprint. So he said that Blueprint was originally at the helm, but is now handed off to another support studio. Sony wants this to be the next benchmark for VR games across all platforms. Can be played fully without VR as a standalone remake. One of the first examples of a AAA title that can be experienced in both VR and non-VR that PlayStation wants to accomplish." And that kind of thing does resonate with what we've been hearing from PlayStation about wanting to make hybrid titles. So like, Resident Evil Village, for example, is a hybrid title that we sort of think is a likely thing going to happen. You can play it flat, or you can play it in VR if you happen to have the headset. Gran Turismo, you can play it flat, or you can play it in VR if you happen to have a headset. Hybrid VR, AAA VR titles.
Which I think sounds really nice, but I'm not looking forward to that, though, because I think that a lot of the interactability will be gone.
Yeah, and you said this before in that you think that games made for VR from the ground up are generally going to be better. And I do kind of agree with you to a certain degree, but it's going to be interesting to see if they put the love and attention that a VR mode deserves in these games. Not like Hitman 3, like we've experienced in the past.
Yeah, so not a port, but a hybrid, because those two things are different.
Yeah. So he says that there's going to be fully interactable environments to ground the player in Metal Gear Solid. Adaptive triggers and haptic feedback will be utilized to an extreme amount. Almost every item and set piece in the game is crafted around it. Inventory system follows suit to the original game, raising your left wrist for things like medicine, cigarettes, and your right wrist for weaponry. Things like night vision, thermal goggles, gas mask, and cardboard box will accurately be represented in VR. The Psycho Mantis fight is slightly revamped for a VR experience, almost identical to in non-VR, but the controller port switch is scrapped. I don't know what that means. I don't know if it will be the statue solution by default or something new as planned. I don't know what that's referencing to. He says Q2 2022 reveal alongside PSVR2, which is something else we've kind of suggested that is likely going to happen, and then Q4 2022 release as a launch title, which again is something else that we think is going to be a likely thing going to happen. He says to round up the post, again, to be transparent, there's no reason to believe anything here, but I've been told direct details from someone who is very close to the project. From what I've heard, it sounds like a new leap standard for VR. If it's true, then this would be totally epic for the launch of PSVR 2, I think, in my opinion.
I mean, it's kind of credible in a way because there hasn't been so much news surrounding like Metal Gear. And with Kojima leaving, they haven't been doing so well either. So maybe this is for them to kind of try something new. I don't know.
I think to be honest,
I'm down.
if we get a Metal Gear Solid remake and it even doesn't have VR, I'd be super happy anyway. But the fact that it's getting, this rumored VR mode, it should be totally epic. And like I said, it's kind of in line with what we've been saying in the past with PlayStation's strategy when it comes to VR games in the future, and also the rough release schedule that we kind of predicted on the last show, in that it would follow the history of the original PSVR, in that it was announced and you could pre-order it Q2 of 2016, and then it released Q4. And I think the same is likely going to happen again this year with PSVR2.
I think it's just a good news for the industry in general. If this news plays out or is true, I mean, it just means that you've got both Sony and Oculus Meta going head to head, right? With older, massive IPs, and looking to double down on, we can give you VR in this. And I think it's a great combination, like from a business perspective, because you're not paying to start a game from scratch. And while you're doing the revamp, if the VR thing doesn't work out very well for you, you've still got your normal paying audience who's willing to, so to underwrite that project is far easier, because no matter what, to a pretty high degree, right? Actuaries or whoever to do the numbers would be able to say, you're going to get 200,000 sales on this no matter what you release. And then if you do it well, that'll be triple the number. Add the VR bit, and you don't really care. You don't have to care about the VR sales so much. So to Rowdy's point, I think the first number of instances of this are most likely going to be suffering in the quality department in terms of everything VR we expect. But give it 2 or 3 years, and what's going to happen is those two behemoths are fighting each other, maybe a third or fourth, and it's just going to have to improve. So I think this is a very good track for us.
I just hope it's not going to turn into this, that indeed, we have 2 or 3 years where they're releasing subpar experiences, and everyone who has a PSVR2 goes this is bad. VR sucks, and everything is bad here, and it's actually the problem is more with the approach that has been taken in terms of developing VR titles. That's what I'm a little bit scared of, but it's a welcome change. I agree, it would be nice to see some bigger titles taking up some VR flavor, and maybe that will drive the market into a different direction. Yeah.
But I think what you said is totally right, though. Look at Resident Evil 4 VR remake. It was a huge success for Meta, huge success, one of their best-selling games on the store to date, and it's clear that people want to see a named IP, something that they know, and then they want to experience it in VR. It is totally clear. We've seen that with all the mods as well in the past. We want to experience what it's like to live in these worlds. And I think if Sony can leverage that with such a beloved IP like Metal Gear Solid, it would be a super smart move for them. Yeah. Super smart.
And it's it's easier for them, first of all, because they own a lot of IPs. Second of all, as we said, it's a flat game that you give some VR support in one way or another. So because of that, you have way more content, because the difference between Meta and Sony is that Sony, the flat game is going to pull in the numbers, going to pull in the money. Because of that, you get more content because they can add DLC and stuff. Well, with Meta, they just have to grab a game, then turn it into VR, but there is no flat version next to that can bring in money too. So the return, the risk of return isn't so high for Sony. Well, Resident Evil could also have flopped, right? And then they couldn't have really done anything about that. Well, Sony can still go. They're betting on two, users, and Meta is betting on one user. You know what I mean?
But what I mean is the amount of energy that goes into developing this game the majority of that will be into where their main market share is, right? Which is flat gaming then. And then the VR experience will be a certain percentage of that. And that's what I'm a little bit scared of, where we indeed have these AAA titles that are making their games, let's say GTA 6. GTA 6 is in development, we all know that. 90% of their resources is going to go into making, GTA 6 as everyone knows it. And then that extra 10%, that might then go into VR. I'm just saying a percentage. And maybe that is enough. Maybe that they indeed only need 10% to make a believable VR experience. But what makes me wonder then, it's not like it's going to be 50-50. It's not going to be 50% into making GTA 6 and 50% of making GTA 6 VR. So there's going to be a small percentage of that. And I'm a little bit scared of if there's so little resources available even though those AAA companies have a lot of resources. I'm a little bit scared that we're going to be delivering experiences that might be a little bit underwhelming because our expectations are so high, because, GTA 6, it's got to be amazing. So if GTA 6 VR is not really what we expect it to be, then that's going to be a disappointment, I think.
No, I do agree with your concerns there, Rowdy. I hope they pull it off. But I think maybe
We'll
Meta knows that I've seen the writing on the wall for a while and have known that this is going to happen. And maybe that's why they're pivoting so hard in the social side, because they know that they might ultimately lose when it comes to gaming. But then again, they've still got the fact that the headset is so cheap and it's so accessible, and they've already got a back catalogue of fantastic titles. But yeah, I think just this fight between the two, like Zim said, is going to be fascinating to watch, and I can't wait.
For sure.
And I love the fact that Sony have been quiet for about 3 years. They've aside from just sprinkling things in at the start of this year, like they've been pretty quiet on the PSVR front. Their stores have been pretty lean in terms of the pipeline, and I think they're going to come in swinging hard. And this year is going to be so fun. I know we've been saying this a few years, but. And then if Apple enters the ring too, it's just going to be such a fun year. It's going to be such a fun year to watch this fight go down.
It's just kind of like what I find surprising. This is why I keep saying like calm before the storm. Like usually when PlayStation announces new hardware and then Xbox comes around, they usually both like start to plan games up front for the year to come. And it's like, hey, this is what you can play in our system. And this already before you can even buy the system. But with Meta, they're just sleeping on the job. It's like they really think that they're going to be able to compete with GTA San Andreas and maybe some other things that they're going to announce in like at their gaming showcase. But there is no, like, you don't know what's coming out this year as a Quest 2 user. Like we hear some rumors about Assassin's Creed and Splinter Cell, but that's like, if you look at the things on the internet, it's like people, they start to now hire people to make it. So it's going to be a while. But it's like they didn't plan anything out to kind of build their castle.
We don't know that for PSVR2
start, either.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like they do have a gaming showcase next month. So we know that January, February are quiet times. But yeah,
they are like one big hitter they're gonna have next to GTA San Andreas is something with Deep Silver. That could be Saints Row, could be Dead Island or something, or maybe Chivalry. I don't know. But I think they really underestimate. They like for years now they think they can just go with 2 or 3 AAA titles in a year, but times are changing now. You now have a competitor on the other side. Like for years they have been like king on the hill, but now it's a different story. Like you're gonna lose customers, or you're gonna lose the gaming side.
I do think that in March, when they do their gaming showcase, they really have to knock it out of the park, I think. But like you say, we still don't know what the full in and outs of this PSVR2 thing is going to be. We don't know if this rumor about Metal Gear Solid is in fact true. Could be a load of rubbish. But yeah, like Zim said, and like I said earlier, I'm looking forward to this fight at the behemoths. That's going to be happening in the future.
I'm very curious what this hybrid genre really is, because Rowdy describes it as like 10% VR. What if it's like 30% VR, or
I don't
what
know.
if it's
like
50%?
I just pick up
but
a percentage, but I can't imagine that they're gonna develop like 50% of their resources.
No, but I know what you mean. But it's like right now, like for example, Resident Evil VR as a port was to me like, let's say 95% VR. There were some scenes that weren't necessarily VR, but it was like the last 5%. You know what I mean? So with hybrid, is it going to be, I try to, we don't know yet this is a new genre. It's completely new.
I think it'd be interesting to put together a scorecard for VR games. Like, what do we expect as veterans to say, here's the checklist of things that you have to have to score the 100%. Like, you're saying 95%. I think it's probably, like, if I was to say that for Resident Evil, it's probably around 80 for me. Like, because they are missing some key interactions, but
this is
what they
interesting.
did with the flat game was.
But this is something different. As what I meant, though. I meant, like, for example, Resident Evil VR was a fully, all resources
100%.
went into developing a VR game. I'm talking about if they're making a hybrid game, how much of those resources, percentage-wise, will go into developing the VR modes.
Yeah, and it's scary because you're probably going to have, I mean, so many dev teams will be like, we've got one guy guy or gal developing the VR bit, and we got 30 doing the main game. You know what I mean? Like,
someone in the chat said, like, PSVR2 and Quest 2 won't compete directly, and I think they are right in some ways. But at the end of the day, you've got a standalone headset that's $300, and then you've got like a PS5 console and a headset on top of that. That's going to be like best part of $1,000, getting close to $1,000. But the difference in experience, and the quality of the graphics and the depth potentially of these hybrid games, that's going to make the difference. And I think it's going to attract a different crowd.
Yeah, and as a gamer, you want to, as far as I know, you want to buy something that is going to entertain you in the long run, that gives you a new game every few months that is fantastic.
And even though
that's what people go for.
Even though that Facebook or Meta is pivoting into the more social side, 90% of their audience are gamers. That's just how it is. So we're competing for that audience.
Yeah, we're putting a lot of hope in PlayStation. Put it that way. I think we all want it to be that,
Because who else? Who else is gonna do it then? For now,
well, no one at the moment.
For the gaming part.
Yeah, no one. So we're putting all our hopes and dreams on you, PlayStation. Make it happen. Otherwise, we retire.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So that's the end of the news. So a little, like I said, take that with a huge pinch of salt. We don't know it's actually coming, but I thought it was worth mentioning on the show anyway. Nice. So now it's time to hand over to Zim for this week's top picks of games releasing over the next couple of weeks. So let's see what you got in your little goodie bag, Zim.
Oh, so much. I'll tell you what, to start us off, Palmer is back, girlios and boyos, with his Korean comeback hit. It's Lucky Fish Bread by a studio called Visual Light.
Wait. So you've been in retirement all this time, and this is what you come back with?
This is the good stuff. So in Korean, this is called, and I'm going to get this wrong probably, bunjobang, and they are sweet fish-shaped treats made by Korean street vendors that are reminiscent of waffles, with what I personally like to call horrible, awful sweet red bean paste. If anyone's ever had like the Japanese red bean things, oh my, don't eat them. Unless you're Japanese, I suppose. They love them, but I've never.
Are those compatible with the VR headset that feeds you?
Maybe that's possible, Nathan. But this is basically a cooking game where you're this Korean street vendor, and it's a bit bizarre. So it caught my eye. Now we've had tens of these at this stage, right? Where you're sent to assign something. You've got a whole bunch of different accessories, and in this one, you're basically using these waffle fish that are filled with an interior padding. And you have, this is the thing that caught my eye, you get to interact with cute fish bread fairies. So there are these NPC characters that float around and speak to you and all this while you're, developing your budding fish bread business. So it's unique-ish, cartoony, colorful, animated fish bread game. Just, I wanted to use this as a point of education for me and the rest of the podcast. I never knew this was a thing. But this is something you can buy. Look it up on the internet, and you will see pictures of
this game
fish bread.
It's made me realize how hungry I actually am at this moment.
Yeah, I'm starving. This reminds me of that sushi game that me and you played, Nathan. You remember that?
Oh, Gambate.
Gambate.
Yes.
So that's the first one.
Interesting.
That's the first one.
Wow.
It does look like a streamlined game.
Oh wait, apparently Eric Hartley has played this game whilst actually eating. This fish bread.
That's the way to do it.
What?
That's
immersive. That's next level immersion. That is.
Yeah,
that is the way. But no, this is the problem with. I don't know about you guys, but whenever I play one of these games where you're making food, it just makes me ravenous. I just need to. I end up snacking 3 times whatever I make in the game. So
I'm so hungry now.
My stomach is literally turning right now.
So we're gonna have to make this quick. You said that you were hungry, and now I'm hungry. Yeah. Thanks, Rowdy.
You're welcome.
All right, next one. So this one's been out for a while, but landed on Quest recently. It's actually on PSVR as well. It's a game called Unbinary. It's a VR puzzle adventure game. And the cool thing about this, for those who are fans of the application Quill, is it's entirely hand painted. So you're in this. It's an adventure puzzle game. So you're wandering around a number of scenes. You've got an AI called Webby, who's I don't know, helping you with your candidacy to rule planet Earth. And you have different modes of the game, controlled by masks that you wear for different characteristics of interaction. Looks like a pretty simple kind of adventure puzzle game. But the style of it is the thing that really kind of stood out to me. Was that it's got this look to it, kind of like. Yeah, kind of like Jupiter
13.
Grad. Do you remember how Jupiter Grad looked?
Yeah.
It was cell shaded. This is like that rough-edged painted feel. And again,
I kind of like the look of this. This is cool.
I love that. I love
Yeah.
that cell shaded stuff. Yeah.
I
fell in love with
right?
it originally with the. Do you know 13? You ever played that game?
13. Oh yeah. That was the first game ever, I think, to properly land with cell shading.
That was amazing.
This kind of reminds me of the Quillustrations that me and Nathy jumped into using, what was it, the Facebook platform that they've now killed.
Facebook Spaces.
Yeah, this
Facebook
looks really
Spaces,
good.
well done.
Yeah, it's got that, as I said, so for people who really appreciated, I'm glad you mentioned that, Mike, and that's why I kind of introduced with it. If you really liked Quill, either using it or experiencing other people's animations, if you're like me and you have no artistic genes in your body, Unbinary seems like a pretty cool game. Now, it's been out since the 26th of March last year. So it was out on Steam, but it's only just recently come to the Quest store, and it's basically had its formal release. It's there on, you can play it on Rift, on Steam VR. It's also on Viveport. So if you happen to be a Viveport subscriber, go play the game.
Nice.
So,
what I like about this, go on, Nathy.
Yeah, so just in between, Rowdy, check E- his Twitter because he just shared his Lucky Fish bread. Yeah. We kind of want to see that. So go on.
I'll go and find that one.
Yeah, find it. I was just going to say, like, what I like about this is that it looks different from everything else available on the Quest store or in VR, because you find a lot of asset flips where they use the same assets in different games sometimes, and sometimes VR games can look very generic in that sense. And I like the fact that this really stands out because it's all hand drawn. It's great.
Yeah,
love it.
And yeah, the look and feel is fantastic. It's a narrated experience, so it's certainly one that I would consider trying. I like these lighter puzzle games that aren't, like Myst. Myst is not a light puzzle game. Myst is one you go into and you come out frustrated, when you realize your brain isn't up for the task. But that was a good one. Next up, this is my third of the releases before I get into some mentions. So this is something that I was mentioning earlier. You guys are on, in Europe, as I once was many, many days ago.
Defected.
And now I have the key to the promised land. I'm able to get into Horizon and several other apps that are only allowed in North America. Well, this app at the moment is stuck behind like a Japanese wall, and my heart is bleeding for it. So this is about, if you guys know the card game Magic the Gathering, and do you remember the Tokyo Game Show? There was you could wander around.
Yes.
Nathy, I think you went for a tour in that.
Yeah.
This is their second show. So it's a showcase of 135 art pieces from 80 different artists. For those Magic the Gathering nerds out there like me, I've played the game for about 20 years and I've got a huge collection. It's their new set, which is Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, in a VR app, and it's only available to experience over the next week. So from February 18th through the 24th, for those who are able to get it. Now you can download it on App Lab.
Wait,
there's a website.
Because I'm trying to find a trailer for that one. Can you repeat that name?
Yeah, Kamigawa is Kamagawa.
Kamigawa.
Kamigawa VR.
Right.
So it's like an exposition in VR in a way.
It's an exposition of artwork, but they've also got a nifty little, again for fans, this will be nifty because if you're into Magic, you're probably into the artwork of Magic as well, along with the flavor text and other components that go with it. I used to own several, prints, signed copies of things, and they've got a competition that they call a campaign. And so if you go into this and you find all of the 134 art pieces, activate them. And then you find there's a 135th piece, which is some kind of special dragon you have to find. It's hidden. And then you go to their website, you type in your username, and you submit the form. You can win a signed print from one of these artists.
I thought you was going to say an NFT.
You can win an NFT. No, God, no. Thank God. But the trouble that I had was I installed this. Eric and I have been kind of trying to beat down the front door of this because at the moment it is walled in. It says it's not available in your region, which is a bit annoying. The site is available both in English and Japanese. So just to read out the website, if anyone wants to go to it, it's mtg-kamigawa-vr.art/ is the important part, /EN for English. Otherwise, it's Japanese characters, and you won't be able to read it.
I couldn't really find like a proper thing to show, so I'll just show a video of Eric eating lucky fish bread.
Yeah, I want to see this.
I did DM you these videos, Rowdy, so you should have them.
Oh, you did? Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay, I snuck into his DMs, that's why. But meanwhile, we can watch Eric eat the lucky fish bread.
Yeah.
So this thing is mainly for Magic the Gathering fans.
There we go.
That you're describing, Zim.
Yeah, but it's an art thing. Oh, those look delicious, actually. Oh.
Wait, it's gone. The video's gone.
They've gone away now.
You're so disappointed.
We're now staring into the void. But yeah, the cool thing for Magic fans about Kamigawa is it's their first ever sci-fi set. So for Magic nerds, it's like a whole new thing, and it totally looks like just any other kind of like Japanese culture anime style thing. And they have a pretty neat kind of animated trailer for it, very similar to like the Animatrix or something like that. It looks along those lines. So again, if you're into art,
it looks gorgeous. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd recommend checking that out. So Magic has gotten more and more serious with each of its sets. Now they're doing like visual trailers, and this is a card game. In the end of the day, and there's also a game called Magic: The Gathering Arena, which if you're new to Magic and you want to get into it, is a fantastic mobile game. Really, really good, better than Hearthstone in my opinion. And
that's what I know it from.
Yeah. So. That is Kamigawa. All right, let me get into the mentions. So these are the next ones. First one, big favorite of mine, things that you have to, I think, go and check and try. This one will definitely need the video for Rowdy, which is the Puzzling Places DLC. Sure. There was a variety pack. This is their second one. They had launched a Mars Lander pack, and that was pretty cool. But this one's really nifty because it's objects, and I'll mention. So normally it's $5 for four puzzles. Each puzzle, if you're doing them at, let's say, like 100-piece level, would take you about an hour to do. And this pack comes with a temple door, a banjara, I think it's a South Indian costume garb, a British tomb. So there's this, this dead guy who looks like Tutankhamun, but he's English, right? Lying back on in his tomb. And there's a Gothic chalice, and it's like this gem-laden goblet. And that's out of the four of them. That one just looks absolutely stunning. So if you're not familiar with Puzzling Places, it is a photogrammetry supported puzzle game. It's got a really nice ambiance, like music to it. And if you like things like Tetris Effect and really like zenning out, that is one for you for sure. Okay, so that's that one. Next up, we've got Walkabout. So if you love singing Charlie on Candy Mountain, then Sweetopia, which is the latest paid DLC for Walkabout, is like Candyland. If anyone played that board game as kids. I know we already talked about Chuck E. Cheese, so let's throw Candyland in there as well. So this one, again, is yet another of their thematic DLC courses that also includes, they've done kind of Halloween, they've done Christmas. So now this one has a fox hunt for the hard course, which is Valentine's Day themed, and all while in this sugary fantasy land of enormous confectionery. So if that sounds good to you, I'm really, really hungry at this stage. I know you guys are probably there with me. We got to get away from the food. But this is another DLC that you've just got to check out.
Did they do something to the graphics? Because I found like this last, this Candyland that they made looks very detailed. Compared to other things they made, or I don't know what happened.
Yeah,
it's
very
good.
I haven't yet had the opportunity to go in.
It's like they did a whole overhaul in terms of the visuals.
They keep getting better at their craft, is what I would say. So from level to level, they keep kind of getting stronger at that and are able to go in deeper. So I'm really, really kind of happy with the way that's looking.
Yeah. Was it the Quixote Valley?
Quixote? Yeah, Quixote Valley was just so nice.
Beautiful. This looks great as well.
Especially the night course.
The one that looked like my homeland?
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it's very nice.
What was his? We gave that sheep a name. I don't remember what we called him.
Frank.
Frank
with the PSVR Frank.
With the tongue out. So two more things just to mention before we kind of wind up the mentions here for today. So next, Pistol Whip. If you like John Wick, Mike, you were talking about what was it, Contractor? What was the
Gunman Contracts.
gunman contracts. So if that wets your whistle and you want a little bit more, but you haven't yet experienced Pistol Whip, I highly recommend you to check it out. All 4 of us love Pistol Whip. And between the dates of the 18th, yesterday, 20th, tomorrow, you're going to be able to play Pistol Whip for free. So go try that out. One of the things that's really interesting, similar to The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners, which I've been playing a lot of, they've teased some new content. And I'm going to just describe what we're seeing on screen here, because it says that there is new DLC essentially coming called Encore, but in the graphic it features 2 people almost in Max Payne style sliding side by side out of the scene. And I just wonder, I mean, my brain jumps to like, did they find a way to do this co-op? Because if they brought co-op in as a kind of a final punch, please, right?
Yeah, that'd be
oh my
amazing.
God, can you imagine having co-op Saints and Sinners and co-op Pistol Whip like out in around about the same month? That would be insane. That would just be so cool. So that one is definite hype. And we'll have to play it together, lads, if that does drop. So
maybe we can get Denny on the show next show to talk about it.
Oh yeah,
that'd be good.
Squeeze out some juicy details. That would be excellent. The last thing I wanted to mention, we touched on it a little bit earlier, which was big screen. So last time didn't mention, but I wanted to kind of bring out something that's a bit of a transformation for big screen, which is pretty cool. So it's another one of these social places where you can go and watch stuff together. But they brought out free films now. So when I say free, ad supported, but you can go and watch with your buddies, right? Spread across the globe. They're sad animatronic puppets, then fine, bring them in. And sit down on the couch, grab some popcorn, and enjoy some pretty cool films. Like what they've got in here, Arrival, I love that film. Seabiscuit,
cool film.
Clueless, Nacho Libre, Adventureland, Blair Witch. I think that's a great one to watch together in a VR scene. Paranormal Activity 4, It Follows, and now, because I know Nathan's a big fan, The Twilight Saga.
Team Edward or Team Jacob?
You even know the names.
Always Edward.
Please.
Yeah, you're really good at that, Mike. That's kind of scary. But there's
only
also
because I've been watching Patterson interviews because of the Batman. That's why I know that.
He's a great actor, though. One of the better ones.
Research.
3 more that just landed recently: The Founder, Bank Job, and The Terminal. Terminal's a bit of an older one, but a great film. So if you haven't seen it, you can go watch it ad-supported for free in big screen. And just to highlight this fact, because a lot of people don't realize it, I know it's also kind of region-locked thing. The 3D movie trailers that they have in big screen are a good way to experience what it's like. And then if you want, you can go and rent a 3D film. Now, I will mention, this is going to cause some frustration. So the 2D ad-supported features, that's US only. I don't even know if it supports in Canada, so sorry, but don't get too hyped. The 3D movies that you can see in North America versus, let's say, Europe, very, very different assortments. They've had a lot of trouble with it. They gave a blog post recently to say they're still working on it. It's obviously some legal ramifications there that they're trying to overcome. But I look forward to it because the experience is pretty cool once it's there. And I do think that this is a real cornerstone, like it belongs in VR. And the last thing that I wanted to mention is you're able through Pluto.tv to watch live TV. So people were able to watch the Super Bowl together, and they saw a big spike. And I know they had some performance issues, but being able to watch in giant rooms, together in VR is a really nice way to connect socially. And you can't do that today in Horizon. You can't do that in a lot of the other social apps. So check out Big Screen if you haven't.
Maybe Darshan should become a director and make his own movies, so the problem is solved.
That would do it, Nathan. That would do it. You're right.
What I always said to Darshan would be like an amazing idea, and I appreciate it would take a bit of time, especially for like a lot of movies. But like say like the Blair Witch, for example, that instead of having a traditional cinema, you're watching it in the woods, and then during scenes that are played out on screen, something happens in the environment around you that kind of freaks you out. Same with like, say if you was watching Jurassic Park or something, and then you had dinosaurs like running through like the audience, it would be fantastic. It would be fantastic.
They call that 4D cinema, 4D. And it's
we
actually had it. There was a guy, Belago, I think, who developed a cinema. I know Nathan's done this because we threw popcorn or something at each other.
I just want to say, like, Riffmax Theater was one
exactly,
of them.
Riffmax Theater. So you could, I remember you used to be able to like walk into the bathrooms, meet other people.
There were bathrooms.
That's where you normally do, but it was just like that's where you entered near the hallway in the bathrooms. Then you'd go down to the actual cinema. You'd go in and you could watch in 4D, for example, like a Michael Jackson's Thriller. And it would show Thriller, like the usual music video on the screen, and then there'd be smoke and kind of funky lighting and stuff.
Zombies
so that
like
does
falling
exist.
in, doing the dance and stuff. And
it has existed before. So just a matter of time. Like it's going to come out. So, that's it for this week. So I'll just recap on the 3 releases, just so that you know the names in case you didn't catch them. The first one, Palmer's Glorious Lucky Fish Bread. And that one's going to make you hungry. Unbinary was the second one. And then the third thing on App Lab is the MTG Kamigawa Neon Dynasty art show, which is, again, the follow-up to the Tokyo Game Show. So I look forward to finally breaking through it. We haven't managed yet with tricky VPNs and the like, but we'll see. Who knows? Maybe we need to get Nordon as a sponsor one of these times. All right.
I'm looking forward to the day that, no disrespect to the Lucky Fish Bread, but we don't talk about Lucky Fish Bread and we're talking like Metal Gear Solid and Gran Turismo and Resident Evil Village.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
this
like
it's been a while.
That Mike hates indie games.
He does.
I love indies. I love indies, but it's just like, come on.
No, but I know what you mean. No, I know what you mean. This is like a phase
84 years at this point.
Well, it does feel like 84 years. It's weird that I'm nowadays talking about games that I used to play in 2016.
Yeah.
Then
What's a
nowadays
UK in the chat sums it up nicely by saying, so nothing new, nothing about this weekend. I feel your pain, dude. I feel your pain. But I also want to say thank you to Wolveraza for the super chat. Fun show. Keep it up. Thank you very much, mate. And also Jeffrey Goodman for sponsoring, for not sponsoring the show. For the
He basically has. Let's be honest.
Sponsor the show
he has been
for the super chat as well. So we really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Great show, meta mates.
So to wrap up the show, if you've got any burning questions for us, now's the time in the chat. We can maybe take a question or two before we say goodbye. We want to say thank you again to our sponsors, Valve, for sponsoring the show. We really, really appreciate it. If you're interested in sponsoring the show, by the way, and you're a dev studio, you can feel free to reach out to us. Also, just a reminder of the show, it's live streamed every other Saturday on YouTube and on Twitch. The show goes live at 7 p.m. in Europe, 6 p.m. in the UK, 10 a.m. in Pacific time. You can also check out the audio version, which is available on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Spotify. If you've enjoyed this show, it's been a bit crazy, you can hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our future shows. Let's see if anyone's got any interesting questions for us.
I saw a Technoglitch said Quake 3 VR multiplayer. Someone other than me is playing it. Lol. Is that a thing? Is Quake 3 like VR modded at this point?
I know there was a Quake.
Was that like a Mr. Beef mod?
There was a Quake 2 thing where you could run around the field and stuff
Quake
like that.
2.
But if Quake 3 is out, like that's one of my favorite all-time games. So
Ace Fogel, who said, just a small reminder, Team Beef is stress testing Quake 3 VR multiplayer right now.
Nice.
It's coming.
Matthew Guya, any PC VR multiplayer game recommendations? For me, I would say After the Fall all day long. If you've got like a team of people that you can play with regularly, that game is phenomenal just to like catch up with your friends and just blast zombies and have a great time all at the same time. I love that game.
I played one with my dad yesterday. We talked about it before, the transformation of ProPot into a 3-game package to Golf Plus. I played Golf Plus. It's like if you could have Microsoft Golf Simulator in VR. It's pretty decent. Very different to Golf Plus, by the way. And it's kind of a weird amalgamation of 3 games that don't have the same kind of feel at all. But if you're looking for a more like serious, like proper golf game with all the clubs and everything that you got to select, if you're not good at golf like me, it shows in the game. Like I'm like, my dad hits it, goes like way off that way because he plays golf, and I'm like, it goes like half the way there, and I'm like, Jesus, wow. This is actually accurate because you have to have a proper swing. So if you're a golfer, check out Golf Plus.
Bless you, Rowdy.
Thanks.
Also, Arcanian asks, are people still playing After the Fall? I think it was a little bit light on content on launch, but they've got new content coming very, very soon. Maybe we can talk about that on the next show. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Thank you for everyone that's joined us live. We really, really appreciate it. Thank you again. And I think it's time to say goodbye. So we'll see you in a couple of weeks' time where we'll give you another wrap-up of the latest VR news. But until then, take care of yourselves, and bye-bye for now. See you later.
See you. Bye-bye.
Bye.